All right, we'll call to order the regular school board meeting of the Madison Central School District on Monday, April 10th. Call the meeting to order. Mr. Brooks will make note that we are all present. Thus, we've established a quorum. Let's rise and do our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a couple of additions to our agenda. There will be one additional personnel item that we will be adding when we get down to item number 9. And then we will have an item 19B relating to a school board resignation from Mr. Moore. So that will be our item 19B on the agenda. And there'll be one additional personnel item that will be brought forth by the administration. So with those two corrections, does anyone wish to approve the agenda? So moved by Ms. Thompson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On to the then consent agenda. We have our minutes of our March 13th meeting. Mr. Miller, Mr. Nelson, and myself went through the bills. We spent a lot of money this month, which isn't uncommon, I guess. Anything, either Steve or Sean, that you saw that we need to bring the rest of the board up with, or? Okay, we looked in good order. So that takes care of 8. Number 9, we'll turn that over to Mr. Jorgensen, and he's been a busy man.
Well, there's been a lot of people been busy. Some hires, you can see we have Jennifer Milliken, sped driver in the evening, transporting a student. Sarah Perez then, that would be for a pro start contract for this year. One additional one would be Marla Schmidt, and that would be a combination for the plec that we're taking over. That will start in June. Correct, it's the first part of June that will start. And then other hires, Adam Erickson for high school English, Jacob Schreck for high school English. Mr. Erickson will replace Scott Delores, and Mr. Schreck will be replacing actually Annalisa Brown, who's moving from the English into the Spanish. And then we have a hire of Cassandra Krogan in the middle school, who will be replacing John Redmond. And then the resignations that we have are Mr. Redmond has accepted a principal's position, so he will be leaving at the end of the year. Mrs. Smith has accepted a teaching position near her hometown. And evidently Mrs. Moore decided to move to Sioux Falls as well with their husband. So that would be the other resignation, so the positions that we have filled so far. Any questions on them?
And we have the one contract change, right?
The one contract change is the lane change out in May 15.
All right, any questions there? If not, then I entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda items 7 through 9. So moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Cecil. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Looks like we have no one here unless, Dawn, you're here to address us on anything?
Can I?
You may. It's that time.
Thank you. Just want to say thanks on behalf of the Madison Education Association. This was one of the best negotiating sessions we've had in a long time. It went really smoothly, and we appreciate everything that the board did through the negotiation session. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for helping also make that go. It's a two-way street.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely there. All right. Don't believe we have any disclosures as of right now, so that takes us on to administrator's report. We've got Dr. Cook's pictures and YouTubes out there that have been shared electronically. Mr. Jorgensen, other things on the administrator's report?
Just touch on a couple items. You know, it was nice on the 27th, Governor Dugard joined us for a ribbon cutting ceremony. That went very well. Mr. Shaw did an excellent job, and it was great to see all the community support there for that. We had an in-service on Wednesday, and part of that in-service time was spent reviewing our updated emergency management plan. We'll spend additional time as well throughout this year and in next year reviewing that, but some of the key parts were touched on with staff in last Wednesday. You probably got some information from the principals. We're in that time of year again where state testing is going on at the elementary, middle school, high school. That'll be going on for a while, so that has just gotten started for the most part. And then just updating everyone on our current openings that we have. We have a high school guidance council position that'll be open now. And we have 2 elementary teaching positions right now, and the interviews have been going on. In fact, interviews again today. So that's where we're at right now with 3 openings right now as far as our teaching positions go.
Mr. Brooks, you have anything administratively?
One thing, just, we talked about the sidewalk and then the Safe Routes to School grant. It opens up in August. Typically, they do the grant that goes to the the school or the city park or that. But they said they would consider our grant request, so we'll put one in when that opens up in August for that. We'll probably have it either started or finished by that time, but it sounds like that should be okay.
Okay. I'd just like to add that since last board meeting, I attended the National School Board meeting that was in Denver. 5,500 school board members from across the U.S. as well as the Virgin Islands. I actually sat in on the delegate assembly for the National Association, which was rather intriguing. Next year I'll be a voting person by virtue of being vice president instead of second vice president. But very, very interesting to see the issues that are being faced, and sometimes I think we're very fortunate that we're in a small rural area compared to some of the problems that some of the larger urban schools are dealing with and things. So it was a huge eye-opener to me as to what's going on a national level and things. So because of my vice presidency, second vice president, that was all taken care of by the School Board Association. So, all right, next. Item number 13, consider approval of a 2-year certified staff negotiations. Is that going to be Mr. Brooks or Mr. Jorgensen, or am I winging this?
I'm just gonna touch base on a couple of the main items, and that was for the 2017-18 salary increase is $950, along with insurance increase on a $25 per month. That'll give us a new base for next year of $40,230. And then in year 2, the 2018-19, will be a salary increase of $850 and an insurance increase of $30 per month, which will put the new base for the 18-19 school year at $41,080. Those are the main financial pieces of the negotiations. If there's any questions?
I think as Dawn alluded to, I think that Steve and Jenny will agree we had a very good session with the teachers, and we certainly appreciate them coming with their eyes open, and we certainly were open to several of the things that they brought forth, and I would agree that it was as smooth as we've probably seen for quite a while. And with the 2-year agreement, we won't have to do that next year. Unless for some reason we get a huge amount of money from the state and we have to come into compliance, but I don't know that that'll be the case. So, with that, I would entertain a motion that we approve the 2-year certified staff negotiations. So moved. Mr. Moore moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next, item number 14 is considering adding an additional year onto Superintendent Jorgensen's contract.
So moved.
Mr. Moore has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? We'll give that one to Mr. Miller on there. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? And that will be at the negotiated rate that would occur in that 18-19 year. He's covered currently under the 2-year negotiated agreement with our administrators, so. Any further questions or clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor of adding the 18-19 to Mr. Jorgensen's contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And I'm assuming that was to read contract, not contact.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just caught that as we were going through.
Oh, no, we were just updating his phone
I
number.
know. That's so quick, that's how I was just contacted.
All right, item number 15 then, it's time for surplus items. Mr. Brooks, I'll give that one to you.
And this is kind of time we start going through. I know we don't have a lot like we've had in the past. There might be a few kitchen items for replacing a stove, a few other items, but this is where we start going through into the closets, pulling stuff out, and anything that they're willing to take, we bring out there, and then they go on auction. And then, like in the past, then we'll come back and bring the list of everything that's sold and what it's sold for, and that. This is setting up so that Prairie Village is acceptable for us to surplus our to sell our surplus items at.
Okay, so the motion would be that we're going to utilize Prairie Village for the sale of the surplus items. That certainly has worked very well for us in the past. Prior to doing that, we used to try to sell them on our own, and we never did very well. So it's amazing what that does for us. So I entertain a motion that we use Prairie Village for the sale of the surplus items.
So,
Ms. Sims, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of Prairie Village for our surplus items indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Mr. Brooks, we have an opportunity for an audit.
For the audit, we received our letter from our current provider, which is Quam, Berglund and Post. They did leave the pricing the same as last year, $9,900. The year before, or the 2 years prior, was $9,600, so it hasn't changed much. With fees staying relatively the same, or staying the same as in the last year. I think they do a very nice job for our school. I'd recommend that we proceed with them again.
How many years have they had this?
They've had it, I'm gonna say, I don't know exactly, I'm gonna say 2015. What they do is they have a large crew, they do 40-some schools, they rotate who's the head auditor. There's always a crew of 2 new people to the school, and then they rotate them through, and they have a real nice set of checks and balances. And, yeah.
With the size of the firm, that's the advantage. You know, if your firm is smaller, you probably end up with some of the same people each time, but with them and things. So I would entertain a motion that we enter into an agreement for our current upcoming audit with Quam, Berglund and Post. So Mr. Nelson makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of entering into the Quam, Berglund and Post audit, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item number 17 then is prior board motion number 39, which I pulled up, and 39 was one that we did back in October. And what we did as a part of that in October was we set, I guess I would say, a floor to the minimum amount that we wanted to save, and at that point in time, we were hopeful that we would save not less than $705,000. Well, the markets have changed greatly in that period of time, and we're anticipating that they probably are going to change again, not in our favor. So what we're looking at is coming back and setting a minimum, instead of the original motion of the $705,000, we'd amend that motion to be for $400,000. Mr. Brooks, what did I forget?
No, that's very good, yeah. At that time, that was the Brexit, so it caused rates to fall, and then with the election rates kind of went back up. Our bond council is recommending we look to sell in the next 30, 60 days, because they see a Fed rate of going back up. So So maybe a year or so before we would have an opportunity to save again. They still project us to save, over 400,000, which is a very nice savings still. The last market changed relatively fast, so we weren't able to get in there in time to get them sold prior to the change.
So what the motion would be to amend then our October motion number 39 to read, everything would be the same with the exception of the not less than would change from 705 down to 400,000. Make good fiscal sense for the district to do so. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Nelson makes the motion. Is there a second? Mr. Moore has his pen up for a second. Further questions or discussion?
So you're rolling over the bonds that you already have, so you're selling bonds
Yeah,
to replace the bonds that are coming due?
we'd sell them and pay the other ones. We have a better rate going forward.
Yeah, and I think it was like 5 when you initially took it out, and now it's probably 4.5, or 3.5, 4.5?
I think we're just about 3 and the ship was just below 3
Okay,
on the average bond over the 20 years.
and it's a 20-year bond.
It'll probably end up being like a 17, 18, whatever, a little bit less than what we have left.
But it's replacing the 20-year bond?
Yeah, replacing what we sold.
Right.
So we'd have savings and potentially we'd also reduce the period of time that obligation could be there.
And this bond, I guess we should say, this is our general obligation bonds, this is one that we take out the tax. And so in essence, instead of carrying it for the full term, we would be ending probably a year and a half earlier, depending on the sale. So we wouldn't have to, we pay the same amount, but we wouldn't have to tax that last year or so. And that's where the savings comes from. So we'll save our taxpayers directly.
Sounds good.
So we have a motion and a second. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of amending motion number 39, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. Item number 18, consider approval of agreement for the curriculum director. Mr. Jorgensen, you want to talk on that one, or?
Mr. Brooks talking about.
All right.
Today's the contract.
This is the agreement with Diane Tyler for our in-service staff development and curriculum. We've titled it curriculum and staff development. The change on it, we applied the same percent as administrators, which was 2.4, which is less than the teachers in the classified, but it falls kind of along that same line, so it'd be about $400 change. So it bumps up to $16,720. We did also change under services. Is it on there? You mind bringing it up real fast? On the agreement, on line F, with curriculum, we haven't had the need to hold parent meeting. We've had a few of them in the past. If there's, if it's a curriculum which there's parent-parental concerns, or there's things out there to show how we use it in the classroom, or can show the parents, we've had meetings on those in the past at certain grade levels. And so we just put it, if we feel, or if we need to hold a meeting, we would hold one. Before we require a meeting to be held, but not everything must be required a meeting with it, so it's one of those things that we change that just a little bit. So I'm making aware of that. That's that part F under the services.
Okay, so we're up for a motion to approve the agreement with Diana Tyler to our curriculum development, staff development. So moved by Ms. Thompson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Sims. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the approval of the curriculum staff development contract, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Declare that that is passed. Item number 19 then is the membership in the South Dakota High School Activities Association. This is something that we have to do on an annual basis, and we have to have it done and submitted to the Activities Association by the middle of July, but this is the board meeting generally that we do that with. So, High School Activities Association provides it for all of our different activities, whether it be all-state band or choir or one-act plays or any of our athletic events, journalism activities, etc. They're kind of the governing body for that. So It's a very important thing for that second portion of our educational program. So would entertain a motion to authorize that membership. So moved by Ms. Thompson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Moore. Further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of authorizing our membership in the South Dakota High School Activities Association, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Item number 19B then is dated today. Tom Farrell, President, Madison Central School District. Dear Mr. Farrell, it is with great sadness that I'm writing you this letter to let you know that my last school board meeting as a school board member will be June 12th. This letter is to inform you I'll be resigning my elected position as a school board member on the Madison Central School District following the June 12th, 2017 meeting because I've been reappointed as a pastor in the Methodist Church system. I have been reappointed to be lead pastor at Sunnycrest Methodist Church in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, starting July 1, 2017, with deepest regards, Pastor Charlie Moore. Now we can accept this or we could deny it, right? Thank you so much, Charlie. Tremendous opportunity for you to continue forth in your ministries, I'm sure. We truly appreciate all you've done, not only as a school board member, but you've reached out in so many other ways within our community and everything, Charlie, that many of us may not even be aware of. But we thank you for your commitment to the board and to the youth of this community. Thank you. And I would like to make the motion that we accept that. Stealing the thunder. But I need a second for it to be real voted on. We need a second.
I will second that. I don't think he will qualify as a board member moving to Sioux Falls.
And so Ms. Thompson then makes the second to that motion. So that would be effective following our June 12th board meeting. He will be voting and being a part of it then. So further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the resignation with sadness also from the board, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Declare that, Charlie, we accepted you. Resignation. All right. That takes us then on to our book study. And that's chapter 6. So Steve, I'm going to play the evil one and steal your projector.
You bet.
If it'll let me click, there we go. So this is chapter 6, and it talks about student development and more importantly about student achievement. And I know, like when I was at the national convention, that's something that a lot of time was spent on. And our primary duty of the school board is to hopefully impact student achievement. And again, it requires us as board members to be looking at that, looking at our goals and going towards it. And state rules and federal mandates, and we'll talk a little bit about the changing of that landscape as we get further ahead. The administration is the ones that recommend to the school board what's taught, how it's taught, when and where it's taught, and the material to be used. None of us are really trained to do that, and that's a role that falls back with the administrators and teachers. To accomplish goals leading to high student achievement, we've got to have a strong leadership team and a commitment of focus towards appropriate roles and responsibilities. The school district team decisions must be data and research based. Leadership has got to constantly be revisiting the way we do things. However, the school board continues to work at the policy level, what we talked about last month, with this, while the superintendent and administrators lay out their tactical things. Teamwork and trust are absolutely necessary to ensure conditions in the learning environment. We lead by, as our district, by the policies that we make that articulate a vision towards student learning and achievement. And then we also define an environment that encourages high student and staff morale, as well as good performances and community support. We need to look at research and data to make decisions. We've got to take a look at where our scores are, where we're at, what data we have available to us. We have to hold student achievement as, again, a central governance focus. Federal and student achievement accountability provisions have elevated the need for us to get involved. School leadership research identifies the important role that we play. There's a lighthouse study that was done in there through the Iowa Association of School Boards and was picked up. Basically, they show a very positive correlation between board leadership and also student achievement. McCrell, which is again an agency that's out there, discovered, or leadership practices that we do basically are important in the school's effort while supporting non-negotiable goals and maintaining focus, not allowing other initiatives to detract. Studies identified coordinations of policies and practices with the implication that it's leadership's role to locally get this done by our school board members. Education standards are statements of what students should know and be able to do at various stages. South Dakota uses content standards to refer to the content of our school curricula. Performance level to review how well students are doing on those content standards. South Dakota Board of Education adopt a model of state content standards in the core disciplines. In 2009, the state board adopted Common Core standards to be implemented in 2014 in the areas of math and language arts. Mr. Jorgensen made mention of the assessments going on now. That's what we're in the midst of, is doing that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, how that works in with Smarter Balance, etc. Now, that's what it used to be. What the new is Congress last fall passed a new legislation called ESSA. Every Student Succeeds Act. It's replacing the old No Child Left Behind Act. And South Dakota is currently, and I put some links up there if you have additional interest, South Dakota Board of Education right now is still in the fact-finding areas of the implementation for ESSA and how that will be implemented in South Dakota. They've given it out to various groups. I know we have dealt with it at the state association level. The administrators have dealt with it. They've had meetings for public comment, etc. So those are kind of our accountability requirements. Economical and technological changes have occurred in education, and students need to be prepared for those endless possibilities. They continue to say, you know, if you look at the careers that are out there for our students today, they're one of two things. Either they're what they used to be with a whole lot of changes. Take a look at how the need for home economics has turned into ProStart, or take a look at what we used to have for an auto shop and what we're now able to provide to our students, or it's preparing them to be college ready also. Students must graduate from high school prepared for increasingly challenges. Students taking rigorous courses will help that with their preparation. Again, 21st century skills are a whole lot different than what they were even when you youngsters were in school. And they're really different than from when I was in school on there in terms of things. What we used to call cheating today is now called collaboration. One of the big changes.
It's a fine line.
There's a fine line. But we encourage collaboration.
Yes.
That's the quote of the night, right?
The fine line or, oh, okay, yeah. So we'll have that right away in the morning, and I just wait for gross in that one, okay?
Wait for my kids to done one. I wasn't cheating, I was collaborating.
Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the real big emphases is the need for collaboration in that 21st century workforce, because rarely does anybody do anything alone anymore. You know, it used to be that you put the right bolt on the front wheel out in Detroit. Well, now that's done by a machine, so someone else has programmed that. But that's an important point in math, science, and written communications. The challenge is to address these skills in a system where there's multiple and diverse pathways. And again, I think our district has done a good job with the emphasis we've placed on CET programs and the emphasis we continue to do. One of the things we put as a part of the negotiated agreement with the staff is the fact that we now will be providing, starting next year, as a no cost to our students, an ACT prep course. That should improve definitely our ACT scores for our students, and it'll come at no cost to our students because we feel that that's an important objective. And again, that was one of the things we talked about as a part of our planning process. It's now more important than ever to recognize and build upon positive relationships between the school board and student achievement. The work of the school board defined in the process rather than the results. Running a successful meeting, maybe next year's president will do a better job of that. Working well with the superintendent and relating to the community. Why are you looking down, Mrs. Sims? While these components of board work are important, boards can and should make student achievement an ultimate goal, and I think that's one of the things that we've done in the past, but we need to continue to focus on. That's the reason we're here. When they do, it can make a significant difference in the performance of all students. And again, we have a bigger role than I had figured we did as we went into this chapter by recent research. It's up to us to help, move that forward, and it's a process that takes several years to accomplish. And again, they talk back to that Iowa project. They have high expectations, create an urgency to improve, and we have highly knowledgeable about the topics that impact student achievement, such as our curriculum, our instruction, our assessment, our district and school goals for improvement, and again, our staff development efforts. And that's, again, where the contract with Mrs. Tyler has been a real blessing to our district, where we're able to bring in that level of expertise and assist with so many of those items in that bullet point. Understand the board's role in supporting and sustaining, view improvement efforts systematically, monitor the progress, encourage efforts to upgrade teaching, administrative skills, and create supportive workplace, and connect, listen, and involve the community. And that's the end of chapter 6. Which takes us to item number 21. Yes. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Thompson. Further discussion we can't have. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you very much. This needs to go down also, I suppose.